She always said she could handle him, his temper, his charm, his rules. But that night, something shifted. One look, one touch, and suddenly, she wasn't in control anymore. It started like every other night, quiet, controlled, and predictable. She thought she knew him, the way he smiled, the way he moved, the way he wanted her to see him. But beneath that calm, something dangerous was waiting, and when it surfaced, it wasn't just her heart that was on the line. A steamy romance drama filled with passion, heartbreak, and secrets that refused to stay buried. Watch this emotional love story unfold in She Thought She Could Handle Him, until one night changed everything. Welcome back, Moonlight Dreamers, and if you're new, welcome to our channel where you don't find captivating stories, it finds you. If you love romantic tales that stir your heart and haunt your sleep, make sure to like, subscribe, and let the moon guide you home each night. Let's dive back into our story. The moment Lily saw Gabe across the dimly lit lounge, she knew she was in for something different. Broad shoulders, confident stance, and a look that burned straight through her. He wasn't just attractive, he was magnetic. Experienced as she was with men, she thought she had seen it all, handled it all. Yet something about him made her pulse quicken in a way she hadn't felt in years. Gabe's eyes found hers, a slow, deliberate gaze that left no corner of her mind untouched. He approached, steps measured, voice deep and smooth. "I'm Gabe," he said, the heat in his tone igniting a spark in her that she tried not to let show. "Lily," she replied, keeping her voice steady, hiding the flutter in her chest. She had handled men like this before. She could handle him. Dinner was a charged dance of words and subtle touches, each brush of his hand sending shivers down her spine. Lily noticed how his presence alone seemed to dominate the room, how every look and smirk carried a promise, or a challenge. By the time they left the restaurant, she was acutely aware of the heat simmering between them. At his apartment, the air grew thick with anticipation. He closed the door behind them, and suddenly the world narrowed to just the two of them. Gabe's hands were on her shoulders, trailing down her arms, testing boundaries with a gentle yet demanding insistence. Lily's breath hitched, but she maintained her composure. "I can handle this. I've handled men like this before." But as his lips found hers, the intensity of his kiss was unlike anything she had anticipated. Strong, urgent, pulling her into a rhythm that demanded more than just skill. It demanded surrender. Lily matched him at first, confident in her experience, guiding him, teasing him back. Then he shifted, subtle at first, then insistently, testing her stamina, her limits, her willingness to keep up. Every touch, every flick of his tongue, every whispered command challenged her expertise, making her pulse race and her body respond in ways she hadn't expected. Hours passed in a blur of heat and sensation. Lily found herself pushing herself further, trying to match his pace, trying to anticipate every movement, every desire. Her body ached deliciously, her mind a whirlwind of focus and pleasure. And yet, as the night drew to its end, breathless and spent on the edge of collapse, Lily realized something that made her heart skip. Gabe's appetite, his intensity, his raw dominance. It might be beyond anything she had faced before. She had handled many men. But could she truly handle him? Her eyes met his, half triumphant, half wary, and a slow smile curved his lips. "Not bad," he murmured, voice low and teasing. "But we're just getting started." Lily swallowed hard, pulse racing. She was confident, experienced, ready. Yet a shiver ran down her spine at the thought of the nights to come. As she lay beside him, spent but alert, she realized his appetite might be more than she could handle, and the challenge had only just begun. The morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting a soft glow over the room where Lily and Gabe had spent the night. Lily's body still hummed from their shared intensity, muscles pleasantly sore, skin flushed, pulse lingering in an unsteady rhythm. She had thought she could handle Gabe's appetite, but last night had already proven that he was different, more demanding, more insatiable than anyone she had ever known. Gabe stretched, the movement showing the perfect lines of his body, and turned toward her with that same confident smirk. "You handled yourself well," he said, voice low, teasing. "But are you ready for round 2? Lily arched a brow, a playful smirk tugging at her lips. "Round 2? I'm always ready," she replied, the confidence in her tone hiding the thrill of anticipation curling inside her chest. He leaned in, brushing his lips lightly against her ear. "I don't think you know the half of it yet." The day unfolded in a mix of teasing touches and playful dominance. Gabe challenged her at every turn, running his hands over her body with a precision that tested both her endurance and her creativity. Lily met his intensity with every ounce of her expertise, guiding him, anticipating his responses, matching him stroke for stroke, sigh for sigh. But then he escalated. Subtle at first, a lingering hand here, a brush of lips there, until the teasing became more urgent, more insistent. Lily felt her control slip slightly, heart racing as she realized she had not encountered this level of intensity before. Every attempt to pace him, every move she made to satisfy him, was met with an increase in his demand. He was relentless, and yet there was a rhythm, a connection, that made her push herself further. Lily's breath came in short, hot gasps as he whispered commands, guiding her, testing her limits, exploring desires she hadn't even realized she had. She adapted quickly, using her experience to navigate his intensity, but each time she thought she had matched him, he shifted again, raising the stakes, exploring a side of passion that demanded more than skill. It demanded surrender. Hours passed in a haze of heat, pleasure, and whispered provocations. Lily's body and mind were fully engaged, her senses heightened to a point where every touch, every kiss, every movement left her aching for more. And yet, with each climax, each shared shiver, she felt the undeniable truth. She might have underestimated him. Finally, as she collapsed against him, breathless, skin slick with sweat and desire, she looked into his eyes, dark, smoldering, and infinitely challenging. A shiver ran down her spine as he whispered low and teasing, "Not bad, but I expected more from someone with your reputation." Lily's lips parted in a soft gasp, realization dawning. Gabe was not just intense, he was unstoppable. Her confidence and experience were powerful. But could they truly match him? Lily swallowed hard, body trembling, as a slow, wicked smile curved Gabe's lips. The challenge was far from over, and she suddenly understood. She might have underestimated him completely. The day after their marathon night, Lily couldn't stop thinking about Gabe. His hands, his lips, the way his body demanded every ounce of her attention. Experienced as she was, she had handled countless men before, but Gabe's intensity was different. He wasn't just physically overwhelming. He had a rhythm, a pattern, a pulse she had to learn to follow. She watched him closely, every subtle movement, every flicker of expression. The way he reacted to a whisper, the tightening of his jaw, the shiver that ran through him at certain touches, all became clues. Lily's mind worked like a finely tuned machine, cataloging every reaction, every nuance. This is about knowing him, understanding him, and keeping up. When they met later that evening, the tension between them was palpable. Gabe leaned casually against the doorway, eyes dark, smoldering with unspoken desire. "Been studying me, have you?" he murmured, voice dripping with amusement and challenge. Lily only smiled, a knowing curve of her lips. "Observing patterns isn't cheating," she said, stepping closer. Her fingers grazed his arm, and she felt the immediate response, a subtle flex of muscle, a shiver of anticipation. The room became a playground of skill and seduction. Lily guided him, teasing him just enough to learn more, adjusting her technique to his reactions, pushing her own limits to match his stamina and intensity. Every sigh, every gasp, every quiet moan was a signal she could read and act upon. She moved with precision, experience sharpening every touch, every motion. But Gabe wasn't easily satisfied. He shifted unpredictably, keeping her on her toes, testing her endurance, forcing her to adapt, improvise, and escalate. The interplay of dominance and expertise became a heady dance, the kind that left both of them breathless and craving more. Minutes melted into hours. Every attempt to guide him, every strategy to maintain control, was met with a teasing counter from him. A growl, a shift, a hand in a place she hadn't expected. Lily's confidence surged even as her body burned with the challenge. She was learning him, anticipating him, matching him. But he kept raising the stakes, his intensity refusing to relent. Finally, as they collapsed together, sweat slicked and trembling, Gabe's lips brushed hers in a whisper of both praise and challenge. "Not bad," he murmured, voice low and dangerous. Then his breath ghosted across her ear, teasing, promising more. "I'm not done with you yet." Lily's chest heaved, heart racing, pulse pounding. Her mind spun with exhilaration and desire, and a sharp, thrilling awareness that Gabe's appetite might just push her beyond everything she thought she could handle. Lily shivered at his words, realizing that the true test, the night that would truly push her skills and stamina, had only just begun. Lily had always prided herself on her skill and experience. Over the years, she had learned the art of reading men, predicting their desires, and keeping them fully satisfied. Yet Gabe was different. From the moment their bodies intertwined, she felt a raw intensity she hadn't anticipated, a stamina, a hunger, and a boldness that challenged everything she thought she knew. That evening, she stepped into his apartment, ready to assert her mastery. Her confidence radiated, her movements precise, calculated to please him and anticipate his every desire. She smiled knowingly as she approached, certain she could match him, certain she could dominate the rhythm and flow of their intimacy. But Gabe had other plans. He moved with a force and unpredictability that made her gasp. Every touch was a test, every kiss a challenge. She tried to guide him, to anticipate his needs as she always had with other men, but his stamina was relentless, his desires pushing boundaries she hadn't yet explored. Lily felt the first hint of panic mix with excitement. This wasn't just passion. It was a test of endurance, of skill, of her ability to truly satisfy him. Her body ached deliciously as he pressed her limits, each movement faster, bolder, more demanding than the last. She adapted as best she could, using every trick, every technique, every ounce of experience she possessed. But with every attempt to control the rhythm, he shifted, dominated, and escalated, keeping her on a constant edge of exhilaration and exhaustion. Lily's mind raced as much as her body. "I've handled men like this before. I can handle him." But deep down, a new awareness gnawed at her. Gabe might be the first man who could outmatch her, who could push her to a place where her confidence alone wasn't enough. The air between them was thick with heat, their movements synchronized yet chaotic, a tug-of-war of dominance and skill. Gabe's lips trailed over her neck, whispering her name with a husky intensity that made her shiver uncontrollably. She tried to respond, to match him, to anticipate his next move, but every advance from him left her breathless, overwhelmed, yet craving more. Then suddenly, he took full control. His hands, lips, and body orchestrated a symphony of pleasure that left Lily reeling, lost in a haze of ecstasy and surrender. She gasped, body trembling, heart pounding. For the first time, she realized she wasn't entirely in control, and yet, beneath the shock and pleasure, a thrilling sense of challenge surged through her. She wanted this, wanted to rise to his level, to match him fully, to prove that her experience could meet his appetite. As she lay against him, spent but electrified, Gabe's voice, low and commanding, cut through the haze. "You're learning, but we're far from finished." Lily shivered, knowing that the real challenge, the one that would test her skills like never before, had only just begun. The night air was thick with anticipation as Lily entered Gabe's apartment again. Every glance, every lingering touch from him reminded her of last night, a night that had tested her skill, her stamina, and her confidence. She thought she knew him, thought she could satisfy him completely, but he had already proven otherwise. Gabe greeted her with that same smoldering look, the kind that made her pulse spike and her breath hitch. "I hope you're ready," he murmured, voice low and commanding, sending shivers down her spine. Tonight, he wasn't just teasing. He was introducing new levels of intimacy, pushing boundaries she had never explored. Every move, every whispered instruction, and every subtle touch was designed to challenge her experience. Lily could feel her body responding before her mind even caught up, a heady mix of anticipation, arousal, and exhilaration. She rose to the challenge. With careful precision, she anticipated his desires, guided him with her hands and lips, and experimented with movements and techniques that tested her limits. Gabe's reactions were electric. Low groans, urgent shivers, a tightened grip on her hips, telling her she was on the right path but also daring her to push further. Each wave of pleasure between them became more intense, more consuming. Lily felt a thrilling mixture of control and surrender. She guided, he dominated, and together they created a rhythm that was both intoxicating and relentless. Her confidence soared as she realized she could keep up, could not only match his intensity but sometimes even lead him into pleasures he hadn't expected. But Gabe wasn't done. He leaned in close, lips brushing her ear, voice a dangerous whisper. "You think that's all I want? Tonight you'll see what you're really capable of." Lily's heart raced at the promise, every nerve ending alive with anticipation. He teased, tantalized, and demanded in ways that made her gasp, sweat, and ache. And she thrived on it, matching him, surprising herself with skills and stamina she hadn't even realized she possessed. Hours seemed to collapse into a blur of heat, passion, and whispered commands. Every time she thought she had reached her limit, Gabe pushed further, daring her to rise, to exceed, to discover what she could truly handle. She was learning more than his desires. She was learning her own, uncovering new levels of erotic mastery and pleasure. Finally, they collapsed together, breathless, bodies slick with exertion, hearts hammering in sync. Lily realized, panting, that every moment with him was a test, a challenge, a lesson, and she was determined to rise to every one. Gabe's lips curved into a wicked, teasing smile as he whispered over her skin, "Tonight was only the beginning. You're about to find out just how far you can go." Lily shivered, knowing she was about to discover new depths of her own capability and his appetite. The apartment was dim, scented faintly with candles Gabe had lit, their flickering light casting shadows across the room that seemed to move in time with their racing hearts. Lily stepped inside, pulse quickening, remembering the intensity of the last few nights. She had thought she could handle him before, but tonight she was determined to truly match his stamina and appetite. Gabe didn't waste a moment. His hands traced her curves, firm and demanding, pulling her close until their bodies were perfectly aligned. Lily responded instinctively, moving with him, matching his rhythm, teasing and guiding as she had learned to do. Every touch, every press, every whispered command carried a weight of intent, raw, urgent, insatiable. The night stretched on. Each encounter became more daring, more intense than the last. Gabe pushed her to explore sensations she hadn't thought possible, demanding her full attention, full submission, and Lily, fueled by her experience and determination, rose to the challenge. She adjusted, anticipated, and innovated, using every skill she had ever learned to satisfy him completely. Sweat slicked their skin, gasps filled the room, and the tension between them became electric. Lily found herself alternating between control and surrender, guiding him when she could, yielding when he demanded, a dance of desire neither could resist. Her confidence surged, yet she could feel the limits of her endurance approaching. Still, She refused to falter. She was determined to prove that her expertise could match, even rival, his intensity. Hours passed in a blur of moans, whispered names, and stolen breath. Each climax was quickly replaced by another, a relentless push and pull of energy, skill, and hunger. Lily's body ached deliciously, muscles trembling with exertion, yet she never wavered. She had to keep up, had to prove she could satisfy him in every way he craved. Gabe's eyes burned with a mixture of desire and admiration, lips curved in a slow, dangerous smile. "You're incredible," he murmured, voice low and commanding. "But I don't think either of us wants this to end." Finally, as dawn crept over the horizon, they collapsed together, bodies entwined, breaths ragged, hearts pounding in sync. Lily's chest heaved as she realized just how close she had come to matching his every move, his every desire. And Gabe, equally spent, could only bury his face against her shoulder, chest rising and falling in exhausted exhilaration. Their eyes met, heat and admiration mingling in a moment of shared surrender. Neither could resist the other, and both knew, deep down, that this long night was only the beginning of a challenge that would push them even further. Lily woke that morning with a lingering heat still coursing through her veins. Every muscle ached pleasantly, a reminder of the intensity of the nights before. She had always prided herself on her sexual prowess, but Gabe's appetite had forced her to dig deeper than ever, and she had risen to the challenge. Yet deep inside, a delicious thrill whispered that tonight, she could go even further. By the time evening came, Lily was ready. She had spent the day thinking, planning, imagining new ways to please him, to anticipate his every desire. Tonight she would experiment, daring moves, techniques she had never used before, every skill honed to perfection to match his relentless drive. Gabe greeted her with that same smoldering gaze, exuding dominance and magnetic energy. "You look dangerous tonight," he murmured, his tone teasing yet commanding. Lily smirked, stepping closer, letting her fingers trail across his chest in a way that promised both pleasure and challenge. The night unfolded like a carefully choreographed storm. Lily guided him, teasing and surprising him in ways that made him gasp, groan, and shiver under her touch. She used every ounce of experience and creativity she had, blending skill, intuition, and bold experimentation. Every movement was designed to push him higher, to test the boundaries of his desires, to match his intensity stroke for stroke. Gabe's reactions were immediate and visceral, shock mixed with approval, low groans vibrating through his chest, hands gripping her with a hunger that thrilled her. Each time she introduced a new technique, he responded with a mixture of surprise and pleasure. His dominance challenged in ways that electrified both of them. Their connection deepened, physical and erotic energy intertwining with something almost primal. Lily felt a surge of pride and heat. She was matching him, pushing him to heights even he hadn't expected, exploring desires that left them both gasping and aching. And yet, even as they spiraled higher, she sensed there was more to come. More intensity, more tests, more pleasure she hadn't yet imagined. Finally, as they paused, sweat slick and breathless, Gabe leaned in, voice low and teasing, lips brushing her ear. "Impressive," he whispered, a dangerous gleam in his eyes. "But tomorrow, you'll face an even bigger challenge." Lily's pulse raced, heart hammering with anticipation and desire. The thought of tomorrow's challenge, of pushing herself even further for Gabe, made her shiver, both with excitement and with the delicious uncertainty of what he might demand next. The evening arrived with a charged tension in the air. Lily could feel it the moment she stepped into Gabe's apartment. That magnetic energy that always made her pulse race and her breath catch. He lounged on the couch, casually confident, eyes glinting with mischief. "You ready for a little game?" he asked, voice low and teasing, sending a shiver straight through her. Lily arched a brow, lips curving into a playful smile. "Depends on the game," she replied, stepping closer, letting her fingers brush his chest just enough to elicit a sharp inhale from him. Gabe's hands found her waist, pulling her close. "This one tests both endurance and creativity," he murmured, the heat in his tone igniting a familiar fire inside her. Lily's heartbeat quickened. He was challenging her, daring her to keep up, to push beyond her own limits. And she loved it. The night became a series of playful, sensual tests. Gabe's hands, lips, and eyes moved over her in ways that demanded both precision and spontaneity. He teased, whispered commands, and changed pace without warning, a challenge to her instincts, skill, and experience. Lily responded in kind, adapting, improvising, using every technique and trick she knew to maintain the rhythm, to satisfy his relentless hunger. Her body burned deliciously with exertion, mind focused entirely on his reactions, his pleasure, and the dance of dominance and surrender between them. Each time she thought she had mastered the flow, he shifted, forcing her to rise to the occasion again and again. Her confidence surged as she discovered new depths of her own stamina and ingenuity. Yet amid the teasing and the tension, Lily sensed something more, a side of Gabe she had never seen, a playful, almost mischievous dominance that made her pulse quicken in unexpected ways. It wasn't just his body that thrilled her, it was his mind, his creativity, the way he toyed with her in both challenge and seduction. Minutes blurred into hours of heated encounters, whispered provocations, and intoxicating pleasure. Lily felt herself pushed to new limits, each wave of desire stronger than the last. She was matching him, anticipating his moves, and occasionally surprising him, and she could tell he was enjoying every second of the challenge. Finally, they collapsed together, sweat slick and breathless, hearts pounding, bodies entwined in a tangled mix of exhaustion and desire. Gabe's fingers traced lazy patterns across her skin, lips brushing her ear in a soft, teasing whisper. Lily's eyes widened as she realized in that intimate, electric moment that the side of Gabe she had just glimpsed, playful, inventive, dominant in ways beyond physicality, excited her even more than his raw intensity. She shivered, knowing that the nights ahead would test not just her skill, but her mind, her creativity, and the deepest layers of her desire. The night air was thick with anticipation when Lily arrived at Gabe's apartment. The dim lighting cast shadows across the room, highlighting the tension that crackled between them. Each glance, each subtle movement spoke of unspoken desires and challenges waiting to be explored. Lily's heart raced. Tonight, she knew, they would push boundaries she hadn't dared to cross before. Gabe's gaze swept over her, smoldering with intensity and something dangerously playful. "I hope you're ready," he murmured, voice low and commanding. "Tonight we go beyond limits." Lily's pulse quickened. She had handled countless men, mastered countless encounters, but this felt different. Gabe's appetite, his stamina, and the way he moved between dominance and subtle seduction demanded more than skill. It demanded courage, creativity, and a willingness to surrender to the unknown. The night unfolded as a series of daring encounters. Gabe introduced fantasies, whispered provocations, and teased pleasures that Lily had only ever imagined. Each moment required her to anticipate, adapt, and innovate, using every ounce of her experience to meet him. Her body moved with precision and confidence, responding instinctively to his intensity, pushing him to heights he hadn't expected. Yet even as she guided him, matched him, and explored the depths of pleasure together, Lily felt a thrilling uncertainty. Gabe was unpredictable. Every time she thought she understood his desire, he shifted, teasing her, challenging her, igniting a heat that surged through her body and mind. The connection between them deepened, electric and raw. Every touch, every kiss, every shared gasp became a pulse of intimacy and erotic mastery. Lily's confidence soared as she realized she could rise to his challenges, and in doing so, discover new depths of her own sensuality and strength. Hours passed in a blur of passion, skill, and desire. The heat between them escalated until they reached a steamy, explosive climax, bodies intertwined, hearts hammering, minds racing with exhilaration. For a moment, time seemed to stop, leaving only the two of them, caught in a storm of pleasure and connection. Finally, breathless and trembling, Lily pulled back slightly, her chest heaving, eyes wide with a mix of awe and exhilaration. She realized something electrifying, something that both thrilled and unsettled her. Gabe was the first man she had ever met whose desires, whose intensity, she could not fully predict or control. Lily shivered, pulse racing, as she looked into his dark, smoldering eyes. For the first time, she understood that the true challenge wasn't just matching him. It was learning how to navigate the irresistible, unpredictable force that was Gabe. The city lights glimmered through the windows, painting the room in streaks of gold and shadow. Lily's pulse raced as she stepped inside Gabe's apartment, anticipation and heat already coiling through her veins. After weeks of testing, teasing, and pushing boundaries, tonight promised something different, a night where intensity would meet vulnerability and stamina would be pushed to its absolute limit. Gabe stood waiting, silhouette commanding and magnetic, eyes dark with expectation and something far more dangerous, a hunger that mirrored her own. "Ready for tonight?" he asked, voice low and teasing. "I hope you can keep up." Lily's lips curved into a confident, almost mischievous smile. "You know I can," she replied, moving toward him, feeling the familiar spark of desire ignite. From the first touch, the night became a storm of passion. Gabe's movements were urgent, demanding, and precise, testing every skill Lily possessed. She responded instinctively, matching his stamina, anticipating his desires, and guiding him with confidence and erotic expertise. Every gasp, every moan, every shiver of pleasure fed her resolve to match him fully. And tonight she intended to do just that. Hours passed in a blur of skin against skin, whispers, and electric touches. Each encounter escalated, with Gabe introducing new sensations, subtle dominance, and teasing provocations that pushed Lily further than she had imagined. Her body burned with exertion, yet she never faltered, finding new ways to please him, to explore the depths of his appetite, and to push her own limits. At the peak of their shared intensity, Gabe rewarded her mastery with an erotic twist she had never expected. A daring, inventive move, executed with precision, left Lily trembling, breathless, and exhilarated. Proof that their connection was as much about creativity, skill, and mutual surrender as it was about raw desire. She gasped, eyes wide, as pleasure and thrill surged through her body in a storm that left them both gasping and entangled. Finally, as they collapsed together, drenched in sweat and trembling from the night's extremity, Gabe's lips brushed hers in a soft, dangerous whisper. "You think you're done?" he murmured, voice husky with desire. "You're only getting started." Lily shivered at the promise, pulse racing with anticipation. She had matched his intensity, explored uncharted pleasures, and discovered new depths of her own sensual power. Yet Gabe's teasing challenge left her craving more, knowing that their nights of fire were far from over and the ultimate test of skill and stamina was yet to come. The apartment was dimly lit, candles flickering and casting warm shadows across the room. Lily stepped inside, a quiet confidence radiating from her. Tonight she wasn't just following Gabe's lead, she was taking control. Her mind buzzed with anticipation, plotting how to surprise him, to push their connection into new, uncharted territory. Gabe lounged on the couch, smoldering gaze fixed on her. "You look intriguing tonight," he murmured, a teasing edge in his voice. Lily smirked, letting the tension build, enjoying the way his eyes darkened with desire at her presence. She approached him slowly, deliberately, letting her fingers brush along his chest, feeling the rise and fall of his breathing. "Maybe tonight I set the pace," she whispered, lips grazing his ear. The night unfolded as a heady mix of seduction and strategy. Lily experimented with movements and touches he hadn't anticipated, guiding him into new rhythms, teasing him with a blend of control and erotic play. Every gasp, every shiver, every heated glance told her she was surprising him, and that the dance between dominance and surrender was shifting. Gabe responded immediately, his hands roaming with an intensity that challenged her as much as it excited her. Their connection deepened, not just physically but emotionally. Every shared breath, every moan, every whispered word strengthened a bond of trust and desire. It wasn't only about pleasure, it was about the electric synergy of two bodies and minds perfectly attuned, pushing each other toward new heights. Hours passed in a blur of passion, creativity, and mutual exploration. Lily's initiative kept Gabe off balance in the best way, testing his control and patience while heightening the erotic tension between them. She reveled in the thrill of matching him, even surpassing expectations in moments of daring intimacy, learning more about him and herself with every encounter. Finally, as they collapsed together, sweat-drenched and gasping, Gabe's fingers traced along her jawline, eyes dark with both admiration and desire. "You've surprised me," he murmured, lips brushing hers. "But I'm not done with you yet. Tonight, I want to see the desires you've hidden, the ones you haven't even admitted to yourself." Lily's breath hitched at his words, pulse racing with anticipation and excitement. She realized that their connection had grown far beyond mere physicality, and that Gabe was about to lead her into a realm of desire she hadn't dared explore before. The room was charged with tension before either of them even spoke. Gabe's gaze held that familiar mix of desire and challenge, and Lily's pulse raced at the mere sight of him. Tonight wasn't just about passion, it was about testing boundaries, exploring limits, and discovering just how far Lily could push her skills to satisfy him. Gabe outlined the rules with a low, teasing smile. "Tonight, I want to see everything you've got, every move, every technique, every ounce of skill you possess. Consider it a series of tests." Lily's lips curved in a confident, playful smile. "You think I won't rise to the challenge?" she countered, eyes glinting with daring. The first test began immediately. Gabe set a pace that pushed Lily's stamina, forcing her to anticipate his desires, read every subtle signal, and respond with precision and creativity. Her body moved instinctively, matching his rhythm, teasing, guiding, and surprising him at every turn. Sweat-slicked skin, shallow gasps, and the electric charge of desire filled the room, each moment a dance of control and surrender. But Gabe wasn't done. He introduced twists, subtle shifts, daring commands, teasing provocations, each designed to test her limits further. Lily's mind and body worked in perfect synchrony, drawing upon every technique she had mastered, improvising new ones on the fly, keeping pace with his relentless intensity. Hours melted into an intoxicating blur of erotic mastery. Every sigh, gasp, and moan reinforced the magnetic connection between them, a heady mix of physical skill, mental focus, and emotional intensity. Lily's confidence soared, yet she felt her limits pushed to the edge again and again, each test a thrilling challenge she was determined to conquer. Finally, the ultimate test arrived. Gabe's hands and lips orchestrated a climax of sensation so intense it left Lily breathless and trembling. Yet she summoned every ounce of her expertise to not only meet his intensity, but to exceed it. The room echoed with gasps and whispers, pleasure and mastery intertwined in a crescendo neither had experienced before. Lily looked into Gabe's eyes, heart pounding, chest rising and falling with exertion and exhilaration. For the first time, she saw true astonishment in his expression, a recognition that she had achieved something even he hadn't expected. Gabe's voice was low, rough with desire and surprise. You've done it. I didn't think it was possible." Lily's lips curved in a triumphant, sultry smile. She had mastered him, or at least something even he hadn't anticipated. But deep down, she knew their nights together were far from over. The ultimate challenge was still waiting. The apartment was bathed in soft golden light, the air thick with heat and anticipation. Lily stepped inside, feeling the familiar pull of Gabe's presence, the magnetic tension that always left her breathless before a single touch. Tonight wasn't just another night. It was a test of endurance, passion, and emotional surrender, and she could feel her pulse quickening in anticipation. Gabe met her gaze, eyes dark and commanding, a hint of mischief lurking behind the intensity. "Tonight," he murmured, voice low and husky. "We're going further than ever before. I want to see everything, your skill, your desire, and how far you're willing to go." Lily's lips curved in a confident, teasing smile, though her stomach fluttered with the thrill of the challenge. She had always prided herself on her sexual expertise, her ability to satisfy and control. But tonight, she sensed something different. This night demanded more than skill. It demanded vulnerability, trust, and a willingness to surrender to Gabe in ways she hadn't yet allowed herself. The night ignited with a feverish intensity. Every touch, every caress, every whispered command pushed Lily to her limits. She moved with precision, creativity, and experience, matching Gabe's relentless pace, teasing and guiding him while also submitting to his boldness. The rhythm between them escalated with every passing moment, a dance of dominance, surrender, and mutual mastery that left them both gasping and trembling. As hours passed, Lily began to realize that satisfying Gabe fully wasn't just about technique or stamina. It was about letting go, revealing her deepest desires, her hidden fears, her vulnerability, and allowing him to see and respond to all of it. Each gasp, each moan, each whispered name became a bridge between physical pleasure and emotional intimacy, intertwining their connection in a way that neither had anticipated. Finally, breathless and flushed, Lily collapsed against him, chest heaving, skin slick with exertion and desire. Her mind spun with exhilaration and awe at the intensity they had just shared. Gabe's hands traced her curves with slow, deliberate precision, lips brushing her ear in a low, teasing whisper. "You've done well tonight," he murmured, voice thick with desire. "But there's a fantasy you haven't explored yet, and I think you're ready." Lily's eyes widened, pulse racing, a shiver of excitement and anticipation coursing through her. She realized that the nights ahead would test her not just skill, but every hidden desire she had never dared to reveal. The apartment was dim, the air thick with tension, desire, and the unspoken promise of what was to come. Lily stepped inside, heart pounding, every nerve ending alive with anticipation. Tonight she wasn't just participating, she was surrendering completely. Every part of her was ready to match Gabe's intensity, to push past limits she had only brushed before, and to embrace the erotic storm that awaited. Gabe's eyes met hers with that familiar mix of command, desire, and teasing anticipation. "Tonight," he murmured, voice low and magnetic, "I want you to let go completely. No holding back, no pretending, just us." Lily inhaled sharply, a shiver running through her. She had always prided herself on her skill, her ability to guide, to satisfy, to anticipate. But tonight, she realized that true mastery wasn't only about technique, it was about letting go, embracing vulnerability, and merging her desire with his. The night ignited immediately. Gabe's hands, lips, and body orchestrated a rhythm of passion that was relentless, yet intoxicating. Lily responded instinctively, matching him in stamina and skill, but now with a deeper surrender. Every movement, every gasp, every shiver was a fusion of control and release, experience and vulnerability, pleasure and intimacy. Hours passed in a haze of desire and connection. The intensity escalated with every touch, every whisper, every daring exploration of erotic boundaries. Lily found herself lost in the moment, her body and mind fully attuned to Gabe's needs while simultaneously discovering new depths of her own desires. She pushed him, teased him, yet allowed herself to be swept away, savoring the delicious tension of giving and receiving, guiding and surrendering. By the time they collapsed together, sweat slick and breathless, hearts hammering in unison, Lily realized she had reached a new pinnacle of intimacy. She had matched Gabe in skill, stamina, and creativity. But more importantly, she had embraced the emotional and erotic vulnerability that made their connection explosive and unforgettable. Gabe's lips brushed hers in a slow, deliberate kiss, voice low and commanding. "Tonight was unforgettable," he murmured, eyes dark with promise. "But what's coming? You'll never forget." Lily's pulse quickened, shivers of anticipation coursing through her. She knew that the ultimate night of passion and desire was about to begin, and nothing would prepare her for the heights they were about to reach. The room was alive with anticipation, charged with the electric tension that had built over weeks of desire, challenge, and passion. Lily stepped inside, pulse hammering, every nerve ending on fire. Tonight wasn't just another encounter. It was the culmination, the night where all skill, experience, and desire collided in one relentless storm of erotic intensity. Gabe's gaze met hers, dark, commanding, and smoldering with need. "This is it," he murmured, voice low, teasing, and dangerous. "Tonight I want to see everything. Your skill, your stamina, your desire. I want you to match me in every way." Lily's lips curved in a confident, seductive smile. She had trained, tested, and mastered her own abilities, but tonight demanded more. Perfect synchronization, intuition, and surrender to both passion and play. She moved closer, letting her hands trace his body, feeling the familiar heat and tension ignite between them. From the first touch, the night became a symphony of erotic mastery. Gabe pushed, teased, and demanded with an intensity that challenged every skill Lily had honed over the weeks. She responded instinctively, matching his pace, surprising him with creativity, and riding the waves of passion with confidence and precision. Every moan, gasp, and shiver fueled the fire between them, building a crescendo that neither had ever experienced before. Hours passed in a blur of relentless desire. Lily explored every fantasy, every daring move, every boundary Gabe tested, and he matched her at every turn. The chemistry between them was electric, a perfect storm of skill, stamina, and mutual craving. Each climax, each whispered command, each moment of surrender deepened their connection and escalated the intensity, leaving them both breathless, trembling, and utterly consumed. Finally, as their bodies collapsed together, intertwined and slick with sweat, Lily realized something extraordinary. She had matched him fully, met every challenge, and unlocked desires she had never known she could command. And in doing so, she had awakened something in Gabe, a raw, insatiable hunger she might not be able to control. Gabe's lips brushed hers in a slow, deliberate kiss, voice low and commanding. "You handled me. But now, Lily, I'm not sure either of us can stop this." Lily's eyes widened, pulse racing, shivers of anticipation coursing through her. She knew with certainty that their night of ultimate passion had changed everything, and that this was only the beginning of a fire neither could ever fully tame.